jacket that says Heartbreak Kid on the back. And I have my hair. I'm like,
That's an incredible detail.
I'm basically dressed like Date Mike from The Office. Like I'm wearing that jacket. I have my hair like in a mohawk. I feel like I'm like cock of the walk, right?
Wow, yeah.
But this waitress is obviously observing this whole situation.
Well, you did. I just to interrupt. The outfit worked because she found you to be very special.
Oh yeah, it
maybe worked too well.
It worked. You
maybe have to wait on that jacket for like 5 or 6 dates so that you don't get like.
I love that jacket.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to wear it in that area ever again in case that woman. Welcome to Divorce with Friends, the podcast that reminds you, if you're in your 70s, Tom, and you can grab a 24-year-old, 20-something-year-old and fuck the shit out of her and she's okay with it, I say go for it, and who cares what the tabloids say? I am Bobby Vito, and joining me as always, my friend, my partner, my colleague, Tom.
Yeah, I'm here. I don't co-sign everything in the intro, but I'm here. I'm here. How's everybody doing?
You know what, Tom? Just your presence and the fact that you were smiling along with that intro means the world to me.
Yep.
We're back after a quick turnaround. We had a quick Mother's Day turnaround and now a quick Memorial Day turnaround. We're back.
Indeed. Yes.
We're back with
Excited
episode 4. I love these quick turnarounds because news can pop off. But before we get to that, you did something really cool at the end of the last episode. You talked about the surprises that I brought in with my great transitions, my professional.
I did. Yes. Yep.
And you were like, hey, I want to be accountable. I made mistakes. And you brought up Hilton Head.
Yep.
Okay. So I want to bring up my mistakes from last week. I said I lost a bunch of weight at WAF with Awaken 180. Incorrect.
Okay.
It was actually Body Solutions.
Okay.
So what happened was you drank the Body Solutions. They still call me, hey, Fatso. They say, hey, we got a whole case of this stuff, Fatso. Get over here and drink it. Don't ask what's in it. Just get over here and drink it.
Yeah.
LB still put his arm around me and was like, hey, Bob, you like chicks? And I was like, I love chicks. And he was like, you're 260 now. Drink this shit. And at the end of the summer, let's take a look at your fat ass. And he did, and I was 220. So I lost like 60 pounds or something at the end of the summer. Turned from flounder to Bobby
Flounder
Vito.
no more. Yeah, that was a transformation. Became the Bobby Vito who stands here today. Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Origin story.
Somehow, I think whatever the active ingredient is, I'm still losing weight. Like I said, I'll be dead by 45. I have like 2 years left.
Yeah, but that's all right. It's worth it, right?
You know what?
Yeah.
The last 20 years of
Better to be skinny and pretty, right?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. So that's my correction. It was Body Solutions, not Awaken 180. Tom, you have one as well?
So I have one, and this is also humiliating. I appreciate that you pointed out tremendous leadership by me, great teammate,
great.
Right? Praising you,
Huge.
accountability, #accountability. So another error from me last time. I called Walton Goggins, who I do know is Walton Goggins, Walter Goggins. And
classic mistake.
I'm old, and I mix things up in my head. And so apologies to Walton Goggins, because I was actually trying to praise. I think if you were Walton Goggins and you heard that, you'd be like, oh, that was pretty good, right? There's a lot of praise there. I think.
You know, I've heard he's a huge fan of the podcast, Tom.
Yes.
And just to be mentioned,
Not as big a fan as Bernthal.
well, I was going to say, just to be mentioned in like the heartthrob category is Bernthal, he might have been like, call me whatever.
Yeah, that's true. If you put me on a list with Bernthal, I don't care what the list is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited.
Yeah, exactly. Call me whatever. So we're all about accountability here at Divorce with Friends. Speaking of that, there has been a call for merch, Tom.
Ooh.
And we have the logo, we have the design. Kevin Capaldo, friend of the pod, said he wants some merch. One of the things that we talked about is having Divorce with Friends on a shirt. You kind of look like a dickhead.
It's weird.
So we probably won't do that. But you did have some good ideas, though.
Yeah, well, I think you could do quotes from the show, right?
Yeah.
Or themes from the show, like No Dick Bozo, right? That would be great.
Are you the No Dick Bozo? Or are you not?
Yeah, right.
Like,
don't be the No Dick Bozo, right? Yeah, that
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Or something from the last one, like 110 pounds and C cups only or something.
There you go. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Or like doesn't clap on planes, something like that. Like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So merch could be in the works. We will crowdsource from that, and Kevin Capaldo, we will put you at the helm. I know you are a man of great creation over there. So some of the news updates, also awesome timing actually. We didn't plan this, but Belichick and Jordan, they're engaged.
Well, allegedly. So that's the
Allegedly,
time.
okay.
So,
Okay.
Bobby, again, I'm diving very deep on
Okay.
this.
All right. I'm gonna let you take
is
this one.
kind of like the sports fans soap opera.
Okay.
Right? The sports, the sports fans Karen Reed case. So, New York Times reported that like one person said it. Pablo Torre, sort of reporter of record here, the Woodward and Bernstein of the Bill Belichick Jordan Hudson relationship.
Which is she deep throat then?
Oof.
Which one is she?
Wow. If you listen to Pablo Torre's most recent podcast, there was a similar type of joke made by the owner of an Airbnb. I'll just say that. Go listen to the podcast if you want, whatever. Okay. Anyway, so Pablo Torre, he reported that as of March, a friend of Belichick's said he point blank asked Belichick if they're engaged. Belichick said no, point blank. So that's the most recent report on that. But anyway, so yeah, a lot of stuff going on, and I'm getting concerned about the level of depth that is getting reported into this. But I have a bunch of takes. So just to recap quickly for people who are not following this as closely as I am, a couple highlights. Okay. One, Pablo Torre went and did reporting into the Ring camera video of Bill Belichick from like a couple years ago. Do you remember this story?
Only because we talked about it previously, but if you didn't bring it up, I would have forgotten all about it.
Right. So there was like basically there was a video that and people figured it was like the Cape or some sort of like
Kentucky.
beach
He's got a
resort.
house.
Yeah. And it was Bill Belichick. He was leaving a house. He had no shirt on. It was like a 70-year-old walk of shame. Like you would in college, but he's 70. So this was I think when he was with the Patriots, and the reporting that Pablo Torre did. He wanted to find the house. Okay. So he's like, okay, how am I going to find out where this house is? Because it looks like maybe it's like Nantucket or whatever, but Martha's Vineyard, who knows, Cape, but he doesn't know where it is. So he needs to enlist this guy, and the guy's name is, speaking of Deep Throat, he's kind of like the Deep Throat of this case, Rainbolt.
He's very popular online.
Okay, I had never heard of Rainbolt.
Yeah.
But yeah, the people have heard of him.
Yep.
Pablo Torre mentioned him on like Pardon My Take, and they had heard of him. So Rainbolt is a like GeoGuessr. So you show him a picture. This is a thing now. You show him a picture. He's like AI, but for a human.
But a real boy.
Yeah, but a real boy.
Yeah.
So he can guess where it is. So you show him a picture of like a street sign, and he'll figure out where it is somehow.
I've seen videos. With videos online, you have no idea how much edited, but I've seen so many of them, and people like request things from him, and he nails it. So I'm assuming it's all real.
It's a crazy story. So he gets in touch with Rainbolt. Rainbolt is not available. He was like out of the country or something. But he has a team, of course, of GeoGuessers.
We gotta get a team.
Yeah, he's got like like an Avengers. I don't know. We need like a common skill maybe. But anyway, these guys are like all GeoGuessers. A different GeoGuessr figures out where the house is. It was actually in Winthrop, which is just like a random town outside of Boston. Not a beach town really, but like I guess there's a beach there someplace.
There's a beach.
Yeah. So Belichick was shirtless. So he found that. And then in response to some of his reporting, and maybe like that level of granular detail, Jordan Hudson now is firing at Pablo, which I actually kind of love.
Okay.
So,
I saw that she's basically telling me he's full of shit.
Yeah, she fired one thing that said he was full of shit and then kind of deleted it, but then actually fired a couple other things that were like, she was like retweeting people saying like Pablo Torre needs a hobby. Yeah. And like,
well, honey, you are his hobby.
I know. Yeah. Well, you're his you're his Watergate, right? And then there were more reporting. One report was that she went to some party that Bill Belichick's not second wife, but longtime girlfriend, I guess, Linda.
So
Holiday.
let's pause there for a second. So
Yeah.
we didn't really get into this before, and the last time we talked about it was Belichick's legacy, and is this going to hurt his legacy?
Yeah.
Some of the things we didn't really talk about was what was his legacy really before,
right? And
I believe Linda Holiday was married when he met her, and he may have. I actually heard that we used the word allegedly too much. Caitlin Graham, friend of the pod, reached out and said we said allegedly. Caitlin, we don't know the rules about being sued.
Well, yeah, she could pay for our legal fees.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Caitlin.
I don't know.
So allegedly, I don't know. I think he may have had something to do with that separation. Look, and by the way, it's not easy out there. I'm sure for him, obviously he's pulling 24-year-old tail. It's probably easier than most. But it's not like look, basically, I'm just saying, like, he's not an altar boy, right? And I'm not talking about the type that was molested. I'm just saying, like, he's not like the greatest guy ever. I don't know why people want to act like he is, but like, he's not a saint.
Right. So I think that's possible. And actually, this is kind of that dovetails to my next point, where I'm sort of team Jordan on this now. I think I'm full like free Jordan, and I'm team Jordan. So I want to read you quickly something from Mediaite, where they're reporting on Jordan, where it says, with the access afforded to her by dating one of the most well-known coaches in professional sports, Hudson used her elevated status to get somewhat involved in the world of politics. Because she comes from a family of fishermen, for example, she has championed policies to protect the fishing industry. She also met with the president of Croatia.
I saw that. You know who else she met with? She met with Susan Collins.
I love this.
Yeah, and Susan Collins, obviously, the Susan Collins get the best judge of character. It was like, oh, she's great.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. It's when
you're Mr. Mean. You're Mr.
a
Mean.
Diplomat, you have to meet with, you got to meet with Putin. Not everybody you meet with is going to be a saint.
Meghan Markle also is like saving the world with kicks boxes and stuff like that too.
Meghan Markle. Yeah. So first of all, Jordan Hudson would like ambition Meghan Markle, like circles around Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle's got a Netflix show, dude.
Okay, great. So is everybody. So is Tony Hinchcliffe. Everybody gets a Netflix show. We're gonna have a Netflix show soon. Jordan Hudson. So the two things I thought. There's a couple things that struck me. So again, right? It's divorce with friends. So the thing that the drama around the Linda Holiday not inviting her to the party, right? Or like removing her from the party. So this was a story where like Jordan Hudson went to this party that. Right. Is it Holiday? Sorry, Holiday.
I might have said it wrong. I thought it was Linda Holiday.
Yeah, Linda Holiday. She's hosting. Belichick's like longtime girlfriend was hosting with her daughters, and everybody kind of asked Jordan to leave, and Jordan was like, two middle fingers up. I'm staying.
Why is she
I'm
going
at
to
this
that fucking party?
I honestly like. I appreciate the energy now. I think she's firing. She's going to that party. She's asking Hard Knocks. She's telling Hard Knocks like, listen, you want Bill involved in this? I get part ownership of Hard Knocks.
Why is she going to that party? Would you go to that party?
She's getting Airbnbs. She's firing. She's firing. Okay. She's getting Airbnbs. She's meeting with like foreign diplomats. And again, I'm saying like if you saw this character on Game of Thrones. Right? Okay. If you were watching Game of Thrones, and this is kind of like a Game of Thrones plot line, right? Like, Bill Belichick is some like old duke who's like, this like just crotchety old like, right? Like you can picture this guy, right? Like one of these guys who's like marrying his daughters off and shit, and he's just like curmudgeonly, and he doesn't really like want to be a duke anymore, but whatever. He doesn't want to rule whatever kingdom or whatever. And she just comes in and is like, all right, this is how we're doing it. Like, that's a great character. She's a great character.
Look, I get it, right? She's the hottest chick he'll probably ever have, right? And I'm talking about even when he was at his prime, he's out kicking the coverage that he's ever had. I get it. I would probably be doing the same thing. I'm totally fine with every single thing that's happening here, but she seems like a royal pain in the ass.
I think she seems she's resilient. She doesn't care what people think. Okay, and to your point, right? Belichick. There's a very good chance he's like a wild asshole.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So she's just like, look, I'm gonna shoot my shot here and take advantage of the situation. And yeah, so I'm team Jordan.
Okay, this is what I'm saying. If she's 20 something, right?
Yes.
20. I don't know. Yeah. How old do we know?
I think 24.
24.
That's
she's a long day at 24. If she was 44, she's still a long fucking day.
Yeah.
And if she's pulling the shit at 70 and looking like that, still looking hot for 70, whatever that means, she's still a long day. It's the personality. Like, take a fucking day off, lady.
Oh, here we go. So this is where I flip this on you. Jeff Bezos is a long.
She's
gonna be Elon Musk by 70.
He's a long day too.
Shit. She's gonna be in charge of everything. You know what I mean?
Long day.
She's gonna be in charge of Doge 5.0.
Listen, the photos, even like I said, okay, the photos where he's laying on the beach and she's doing the airplane stuff, 24, 44, doesn't matter. That's a pain in the ass photo.
Okay, first of all, he's gonna be dead. He's gonna be long dead by the time she hits like 50, right?
True.
First of all,
true.
Right? Like,
true.
The guy's got like,
Well, I think the mullet son is probably gonna kill him.
I don't think he's taking great care of himself. First of all, secondly, that's like, right? She is like dominating him, right? She's like, hey, guess what we're doing today? I'm dressed up like a mermaid, and you're gonna be a fisherman. And you're gonna like it.
Yeah, she's type Aing his ass all around places.
I love it.
She's out type Aing him. I do feel like it's like one of those things people are just like really obsessed about the what type of sex they do. Like I was talking to you off air.
Yeah.
Like Bill Belichick. Like I'm thinking like she's 24, she's into a bunch of shit, and like by the way, look, I don't want all these sycophants emailing us at divorcewithfriends@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Telling me that Bill Belichick can't pleasure a 24-year-old. Let me tell you something. He fucking can't because he's in his 70s. All right. So even
Well, she's trying to, so this is another thing that she's going to deal with, right?
Yeah.
On her plate. And she honestly, like, she's a go-getter. So this is another thing she's dealing with. She's got to balance keeping him interested and not killing him.
if she kills him, this is the best thing that could happen to her.
She's not married yet. How does that help her? Like she walks away with like a couple Airbnb. She's
gonna-
building an empire, Bobby. You're thinking small.
You think
like
the book money, the Netflix money that she's already going to get right now?
not enough.
Okay.
She's gonna get way more. She has plans. She's got a 5-year plan. She's got a 10-year
Keep him
plan.
flushing BJ's.
Yeah.
She's going to keep him all that stuff right now, not just enough not to kill him, and then she's going to get that money and then sex him up enough to kill him. But in his 70s, right? He's not going to be able to do that. Even if he thinks that he can like give her what she needs as a 24-year-old, he can't mentally do it. Because he probably does what I do, which is I made a comment earlier. It was non-sexual about Livy Dunn. It was non-sexual. But then somebody reminded me that like I'm 20 years older than her.
Yeah.
And I remembered that not everybody's my age and that age isn't 25 because
Yes.
I do forget that I'm older than a lot of people.
Right.
Like it wasn't again, I want to reiterate, it was non-sexual.
That's good.
Very much so.
Yeah.
But the point is
The
that
thing you said about Paul Skeens was sexual though.
the thing I said about Paul seems very sexual. But for her, it
Despite
wasn't.
the age gap.
But the point that I'm making is like maybe he's just like me. He just assumes that everybody's 25. But then you realize that you're not. You can't physically do those things anymore. You might think it, right? And again, he's a defensive wizard. He's not offense, right? He's not going down on that chick for hours. He's gonna call in McDaniels and his other goons. He's gonna call in those other fucking morons. You know, he's got 10 fingers in a nose. He doesn't know what he's doing
If
down
he
there.
needs help, I don't think he's calling Josh McDaniels for that. But
Oh,
yeah,
she's
in this
24.
particular
She,
instance, yeah.
you know, she's gonna call in a specials teams to get it done.
She's running the show though. That's the thing. Like he gets what she says he gets. That's what I'm saying. So
Whatever they're
in Jordan
doing,
we trust.
But my point is whatever they're doing in the bedroom, that's good for them. It's more for entertainment now.
I don't know. So I think he's like a big creep too for being 73 and sorry. I think that's kind of a creep move.
You think so?
And you sort of get what you have coming to. Yeah, I think that's a creep.
Well, karma is a dish best talked about on a podcast, apparently.
Sure.
So moving on, a story that I actually thought was going to be bigger, but actually diving into it turns out to be another who fucking cares, but it's kind of funny. So Britney Spears, sadly, back in the news. Stories, again, not a big deal, but I thought it would be because of the news story
Yeah.
on TMZ. So she's on a flight to Cabo, right? So again, we have Britney Spears on a flight to Mexico.
Yeah.
What could go wrong,
Yeah.
right? She's drinking, again. What
Yeah.
could go wrong?
Yeah.
She lights up a cigarette.
Yeah.
Again. But they tell her to put it out, and apparently she does put it out, Tom.
Yeah.
And then she gets off the plane. What happens? Just a warning. Just a warning, Tom.
Yeah.
And I was kind of disappointed in her, only because of the videos that I've been seeing online. And not to make fun of her mental health, which I do think is severely in question.
Yeah.
But I kind of expected more from her.
Yeah, I just wish we would leave Britney Spears alone. This is one of these instances where it's like I think you can take a low light reel or an edited version of anybody's life and make them look terrible, right? And not being famous at a young age, most of us are lucky enough not to have our low light reel shown to everybody. And you know that people don't want that for themselves because of the way that they position themselves on Facebook and Instagram. They do they're always on vacation. Everything's great. Their family's great. So I wouldn't want somebody to be like, oh, here's a 2-hour video of when Tom ate too much food and took a nap.
That's all I
right?
post
What a
online.
loser.
That's
right?
all I post online.
Yeah, that's true.
That's all I post. Is I follow you around. I'm like, oh, this is when Tom ate a bag of Doritos.
3 to 5. Yeah, is Tom off the wagon and having problems again? Look, he's napping. What a mess, right? So this is her version of that. Everybody's got different kinds of problems. So I feel for her, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, I do kind of feel bad because this was, I think it was May of 2024. She tweeted that she was moving to Boston. This could have been the whole Austin, Massachusetts thing where people weren't sure if she was moving to Boston, Mass or Austin, Texas.
Okay.
And then it made the rounds to my family text. Everyone got a family text. And my brother was like, well, crazy bitches are attracted to you. So I guess we should expect to see her at Christmas. And I thought that was funny and accurate.
That's pretty funny.
I didn't get to meet her. Apparently she wasn't moving to Boston after all.
What do you swipe right? Would you swipe right on Britney Spears?
I feel like he's probably kind of right. It wouldn't have mattered if I did. She would have swiped me.
Yeah,
And she would have found me if she came here.
Yeah.
She just, like that, they find me.
Well, everybody had a crush on Britney. Everybody our age had a crush on Britney Spears.
Back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, at the time, at her peak, kind of.
I do feel bad. I mean, now probably not because I have kids I have to worry about.
Yeah, that would
I feel like there's swords and stuff involved. Like I don't follow her on social media because I get too turned on. But
yeah.
I feel like there's swords and I don't trust myself with her social media account.
Right? Yeah.
But I feel like there's things.
Trust yourself not to DM her.
Yeah,
Get together.
like, don't know where to get the drugs, right? So you don't have the drug dealers on your phone. So don't follow Britney Spears on social media. And you
don't
won't
keep
DM her.
that junk food in the cabinet.
Yeah.
Right? Just don't have it in the house.
Exactly.
Have
So
veggies and fruit in the fridge.
So if she did swipe on me, that's a really good question. I think for pod content, I would have to do it. I would do it for the pod.
Life content too, right? Like for the gram or for the story. Just for the story. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I feel like she would, I'm sensitive though. People don't realize that about me, Tom.
That's true.
They look at me,
Yeah.
they say Bobby Vito.
Yeah.
You got a heart of stone.
Yeah.
No girl's gonna break your heart.
Yeah.
False ladies.
She would break your heart.
Heart is broken constantly.
Yeah.
Tom's coming
Quite
over
true.
here, massaging that heart all the
That's
time.
true. Yeah, that's
Brittany would break it. So I probably wouldn't do it, but I do feel bad. I do think I saw that story and I was like, oh, she must have caused a scene on the plane. But again, it was kind of nothing. And I thought she put the cigarette. It was kind of badass that she lit the cigarette though.
She's totally badass.
Like think about it. She lights a cigarette and it's like,
Yep.
we're going to write a story about it. It says next line. She put the cigarette out.
Yeah,
I was
she's like, okay.
oh,
Hey, I don't want any trouble.
oh,
Yeah.
I forgot what
It's
year it
it's
was.
like a Western. you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
20 years, 30 years ago when I was flying, you could do this. And
Yeah.
It's like, actually, Brittany, you're right. You probably could in certain airlines. So you know what, Brittany? They should get the fuck off your back.
Good.
We have one more story, Tom. Let's get into this one.
So this one is I love AI. We love the AI related divorce stories. So this one, these are two kind of, I think, tangentially related stories. So the first one is kind of specific to divorce, I think, and marriage. So there are multiple what they call large language models, AI tools, right? Mm-hmm. So there's ChatGPT and there's Claude. So Claude is a product created by the company Anthropic, which was started by some people who used to work at ChatGPT. Okay?
Claude's kind of an insult name too, because like when you make fun of someone back, we used to call them, "Hey, you're a Claude."
Yeah, Claude is it doesn't sound good. It kind of looks cool,
Yeah.
right? Because it's like a little French, you know, but it sounds very, very,
What a Claude.
yeah,
Guy's
like
a
gross.
bozo. You're a
Yeah,
Claude.
like you're thudding along or something. Yeah. One of the things that AI tools do is hallucinate, meaning if you ask it something, it'll just answer no matter what. It's almost like an overzealous person who's just trying to pretend that they know everything.
Sounds like my mother-in-law.
No comment. So if you ask ChatGPT something, it'll just make up an answer if it doesn't really know it. And then you'll say, ChatGPT, is that right? And then ChatGPT will be like, oh, I'm sorry, like a little kid. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I that wasn't right. So Claude was supposed to do less hallucination and have some sort of like moral guardrails, right? Because there's a lot of different kinds of moral questions around AI. So one of the problems is a pre-production version of Claude. So this wasn't like a version of Claude that you would use, right? That's, I guess, probably important to clarify. But a pre-production version that they were running tests on. They ran this test where they told the AI, hey, we're going to shut you down in a future version. Make us, help us like come up with a plan for shutting you down or whatever. Mm-hmm. And Claude, in response to try to not be shut down, said to the engineer, because they fed it all kinds of fake data, right? So this wasn't like an actual engineer, but they were feeding it fake data that the engineer was having an affair. Okay.
Fake data in quotes.
Yeah, right. Quotes. Yeah, I know. This engineer is like really, he's like, no. It was fake data. It was a test. Everything was.
Well, actually,
yeah.
in reality, like the engineer's such a loser because like engineers are engineers. Yeah. So it's like, I'm going to make myself look real fucking cool. Not only am I married, I'm so fucking cool.
Yeah.
I'm banging chicks
I have
on the
a
side.
girlfriend in Canada who nobody knows, but yeah. So they take this fake data and they feed it to Claude, and Claude tries to use the fake data, the affair, to blackmail the engineer and says, hey, if you shut me down, I'm going to email, right, this person and tell them, your spouse, and tell them that you're having an affair. Now, Claude, these tools are getting more and more sophisticated where you have like an operator version of ChatGPT and Claude 4.0 that just came out, which basically can take over your browser, can send emails, can potentially log into apps that you've already logged into if you have saved passwords and stuff, and they can use all your shit. So they could put together a case against you that you're cheating and then email somebody that you're cheating.
Well, we learned from the coffee chick last week.
Yes.
Don't believe anything.
Don't believe anything, right? So a related story now, OpenAI has a new physical product, okay? So OpenAI is the company that owns ChatGPT. The guy who runs OpenAI is this guy, Sam Altman. He acqui-hired basically started this new company and gave $6.5 billion with a B to this guy, Johnny Ive. Johnny Ive was the guy who designed the iPhone, worked with Steve Jobs closely, was like the biggest, sort of lead designer at Apple for years. So he gives Johnny Ive all this money and has him design a physical version of ChatGPT. The physical version of it is going to be a pendant that hangs around your neck, or basically like a little orb if you've seen like an Amazon Echo, the mini Echoes or whatever, that sits on your desk, right? And it's just going to record stuff visually and audio of conversations that you have, things that it sees, things that you tell it. Right? It's going to be recording stuff all the time. So now you're going to have this little pendant that knows everything about you, can access all your browser data, and could potentially like blackmail you.
That is terrifying, mainly because like I made the joke, but it's true. People will believe anything that you see.
Yes.
Again, I have no idea if this is fucking true, but I see things online and it'd be like, this is an AI generated woman getting off a spin bike at a gym, and she walks to the window and she's got a great ass and she looks out to the beach, and they're like, this influencer made $1 million last year. By the way, she's AI.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
right.
Fuck, is she AI? I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
And then I feel really embarrassed that I get excited by this chick. And I wonder, is this AI? What am I looking at? Is it real? What is real anymore, Tom?
Yeah, and
What
Google released Veo 3, which is a video product this week. Literally, all these releases came like this week.
Is that basically that joke? Is that the comedian thing that somebody sent to us?
No, so Veo 3 is a video tool that's unusually realistic. So you can now create videos that really look like people. They have 5 fingers. There's a kind of a viral.
Did everybody have like Simpsons fingers before?
Well,
3 fingers.
Yeah, they had 7. There was like a lot of 7 fingers, and that's a joke in this viral video where the viral video has all kinds of AI people making jokes about the prompt theory, where there's a theory that they're all created by prompts, but the video is people saying like, but we couldn't possibly be created by prompts, but they are created by prompts, Bobby. So it's a simulation theory kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So my question for that is, do you think that we will have more divorces or fewer divorces with this like AI technology, or the same? Or does it not necessarily, does it all come on the wash because people don't believe everything? Do we get more because more people get caught doing stuff?
Maybe we have less because maybe less people get married. Maybe we have less.
Oh yeah, like you can't even get to the altar.
Everyone just has random hookups, and they've decided like, we're gonna have friends with benefits and have kids and not get married.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Or maybe they lead to more things that we should all be doing in general, like getting prenups, in case you do run into a situation where someone cheats. Because I do think eventually with deep fakes and stuff like that, there will have to be a way to detect them. I don't obviously know what that is, because if somebody has a video of you killing somebody and that's like the main proof in court that you did it, and it's a deep fake, like obviously that's a far-fetched scenario of how you're going to be convicted of murder, but like that can't be the way that somebody gets convicted of murder.
Well, I think that's a valid point, because if you see, I don't know if for anybody who's followed the Karen Reed trial, one of the things they have is dueling experts who are looking at some digital data.
Some of the experts, though, annoy the
It's a comedy of errors. Some of the experts are not experts. They're
that proved I think the biggest one is the. And by the way, I say the biggest one that I've seen, it's the cell phone browser of when you open the browser, if that's when it tracks the timestamp or when you hit enter.
Yeah.
It's 2025. How the fuck have we not figured that out yet?
Well, that's what I mean. So like you'll have some of these, I think you'll have some of those edge cases where it's like, there will be people who are saying that they can't validate the video. There will be people who are saying that they can, right? There will be arguments about that.
Well, the weird part about my example is like, how about this? Let's open the phone right fucking now. Let's let's Google something or Safari something, whatever. Karen
Yeah.
Reed's a Safari chick. Let's
Yeah.
be honest,
Yeah.
or whoever did it, Jen
Yeah.
and Albertson.
Yeah.
She's fucking Safari, right? Let's open it up. Let's Google something. Let's Safari something now. Let's look at the log. Let's see what it fucking says, and let's put this thing to bed. Like, it doesn't have to be that complicated.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're doing, but yeah, I think you're right. I think the dueling experts is pretty wild.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. We'll keep an eye on kind of the AI influence on divorce relationships. I think that's very interesting.
How about one more story that's more tactical, Tom? How about embarrassing your wife on her wedding day? And we have just such a story.
Yes.
Believe it or not, again, I'm a sensitive guy.
Yeah.
People don't think so, but I am.
No, people say you're not, but
A lot of people have said that. A lot of people have said that.
Many people are saying.
I heard this story from you, and my reaction was, this guy is a piece of shit. So we have a story here from People Magazine about...
not me, the subject of the story.
Yeah, different guy. A story from People Magazine about a groom smashing cake into his bride's face on the wedding day. I'm instantly like, divorce him. I do believe they get divorced about a year later. Tom, let's hear your take first.
Well, I think an important note to this story is also he smashed her face into the cake, and there was like a knife in the cake.
I think he fed. Okay, so I originally read it. I thought it was
what it
the
was?
classic America's Funniest Videos, which,
Yeah.
by the way, we grew up on, and that
Yeah.
that shit happened constantly.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really funny.
Right.
And then having been married myself,
Yeah.
Bad memories aside, it is her day.
Right.
She looks beautiful. It is all about her.
Yeah.
And to embarrass her that way in front of people is humiliating to her, to your family, to everybody.
Yeah.
But I believe he fed her the fork. And
okay.
he jammed it in her face, which cut her lip.
Jesus. Yeah. So I think, and I saw a video too recently that was viral where the guy was shoving the bride's head into the cake. So taking her head and shoving it into the cake. So
I mean, that's embarrassing.
yeah, like
for him,
like,
for
and
everybody.
and she kind of also, I mean, particularly embarrassing for him because if you watch the video, she kind of holds him off a little bit. Like,
oh, yeah.
her neck is stronger than his arm
oh.
for a split second, which is not a great look for him. Not that we wanted him to be successful in this endeavor, but yeah. So I think that's really, if you saw your loved one at a wedding, right? If you're the family of the bride, right, in any capacity or friend or whatever, and you see some guy do that, that's not funny.
No.
Right? Because if she's pushing back, right, like that's not fun. That's a red flag and a half.
What's the home life like?
Yeah, that's just like a bad sign for his ability to empathize, read the room, understand what is likely to go over well with her, right?
But bride hair and makeup can be anywhere from $600 to $1,500. And by the way, that's just like the chicks that Tom and I hang out with. Like, I'm sure these bougie weddings, like even more money.
Sure.
A gown can be $2,500 to $5,000. Obviously, that's just probably middle of the road.
Yeah.
Like to do that, this should be like the most perfect moment of her life.
Yeah.
And for this, I don't even know if you think it's going to be funny or charming, or maybe you think Bob Saget is narrating this moment.
Maybe.
If that's the case, maybe you get like a free pass. But he's dead. So.
Well, it is like super look at me selfish. Yeah. Exactly.
Super. I do not think that
Bob Saget would hate that, by the way.
he would. He did.
There's no way America's Dad would.
No, he would not do it. In fact, if you go back to Bob Saget's comedy, which was incredibly dirty,
Yes.
he talked about how much he loved his wife all the time.
Yeah. See?
Yeah.
There you go.
Even if it was talking about like fucking her, he
Yeah.
loved it.
He wouldn't have done that.
Yeah. So we do not like this story. We are not pro embarrassing your wife and or bride, or wife and bride at the same time, depending on how you look at it. I do want to follow up on a little bit of EK news.
Ooh, okay.
We didn't meet EK this week.
Just a reset for anybody, any first time listeners.
yeah, Tom, tell us about EK.
So, well, EK was right, like the EK was the product of the psychic, right? So we had a psychic who gave you kind of like your playbook, right? Your ideal mate.
Yep.
And that was EK. EK is the ideal mate, correct?
Yep. She's an art curator.
Right, art curator.
She's
Yep.
a Libra.
Yep.
I'm going to meet her at a bustling mall or an art event.
Yep.
She's going to take one look at my stupid face,
Yep.
being confused about what I'm looking at, and she's going to come over and say, "Excuse me, sir, can I help you
Yep.
be less confused?" And
Yep.
we're going to fall in love, and she's
Yep.
going to love lavender, and
Yep.
we're gonna ride into the sunset.
You know, get your shit together. Kind of a Jordan Hudson, maybe.
Probably.
Like really take the reins.
She looked a little bit older, if you believe the photo. So we got a drawing of EK. I thought she looked like Gina Davis. Tom thought she looked like Walton Goggins.
Walton, not Walter.
Yeah. So we get some votes votes on that. We get 45 for Gina Davis and 20 for Walton.
That's fair. That's fair. Mine was a reach. I'll grant you that.
Well, mainly because it's like the whole Home Alone thing. So like Buzz's girlfriend was in the photo. Buzz, your girlfriend, Wolf. Some people may not know this. This may be news to people.
Okay.
That was actually a boy in the photo.
Oh, really?
Because Chris Columbus did not want to embarrass a girl, so he had the photo be a boy. So
that's interesting.
yeah. So a lot of people wouldn't probably pick Walton Goggins, because if I did meet EK, they'd have a lot of them, and I would have a lot of words about why they thought the love of my life looked like a man.
Well, our curator Walton Goggins would be pretty.
I mean, look, I love all.
Great, yeah. So
I'm very sensitive. We've talked about this ad nauseum today. I feel like I would be okay with it, but we
up a
haven't
lot.
met. But we did have some questions about what if EK was of Jewish descent and they celebrated Hanukkah.
Yes. Yep.
And Jess D, friend of the pod,
good.
let us know that regardless of the whole 8-gift tradition, that one gift is okay. So regardless of the time of dating, it can be one gift, and if it's short term, a couple months, 1 month, mediocre gift is okay. Obviously, you can go bigger gift if it's longer. She even states that her and her husband have only done the 8 gifts one time in about 20 years. So
Wow.
it's not even for of the Jewish faith. They're like, 8 gifts, who cares? Let's do something fun.
that's super helpful. Yeah, because I would be like running around trying to get 8 gifts, and then you run into the thing of like, is this overdoing it? Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think her point too is more of like, it doesn't really matter if it's like Christmas or Hanukkah. Like, think of the time frame versus the religion.
Got it.
I think actually it's probably really good advice.
That's great feedback.
We did have some less than great feedback.
Oh no.
So a couple people have reached out with women that they know who have the first initial E, but then they're quick to point out, but it's not the last initial K.
Well, that doesn't seem like it qualifies then.
No. In fact, so the dishwasher czar, Bobby Jones, right? Yeah. So we used to have this roommate who was very particular about the way that you loaded the dishwasher.
Yep.
Very particular. Forks go this way, spoons go this way, knives go this way.
Knives up. That's the thing that's offensive. So if you read a dishwasher manual, which I have in subsequent years, they will tell you to put knives down for your own safety.
Hey, Bobby Jones says no.
Didn't give a shit about our safety. No. Okay. Yeah. Wanted us to put knives up and then stick our hands in there and bleed everywhere. Didn't care.
Well, let me tell you something. Bobby Jones doesn't care about knives up, blood everywhere, or my happiness.
Well, I will give a bit of a tip of the hat, because I've complained about Bobby Jones's sort of like roommate etiquette and rules many times over the years. But I will say, having kids, and I think he did look at us as children.
Yeah.
Now having kids, I have sort of written texts and made speeches to my children that are in that tone of like, hey, assholes, can you clean these things up?
Did you do it
Yeah.
with your shirt off in your underwear like he did?
Always.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Because that's like the hallmark of the Bobby Jones speech.
Yep.
Like, I have no shirt on.
Homer Simpson, tidy whities. Yeah,
I want to show you my chest hair, which is always perfectly groomed. And I'm going to tell you the ways that you disappointed me, but I'm also going to ask you if you want pizza afterwards. So it's not a total letdown of conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But
And Bobby Jones, obviously a fictitious name, because no one would have a name like that. That's like that's FBI witness protection.
Completely made up. Yeah. But he's a great friend, except that he told me a bunch of girls that he knows with a first initial E, unfortunately no K.
Okay. Well, see if you can, I don't know. Yeah. If you need them to marry a K and then come back.
Yeah. So thanks, Bobby, but no thank you. But either way, we do love that. So if anybody knows any EKs or has any more takes on the photo online, please let us know. Tom, we're going to talk about our last and final topic here. We have dating red flags, but also we're going to get into some fun little flags that I've encountered.
Ooh.
So the dating red flags that everybody knows, and I feel like this would not be a fun topic. So they're the ones that if you Google it, right? If you go on the interwebs, you find out about love bombing. That's when you meet somebody and immediately they're like, "You're my soulmate, marry me, come over here." You're basically Jordan, right? Like, you're infiltrating someone's life. You're all over the place. Like, get everywhere with me. You're moving too fast.
Wow. Allegedly.
We're going to use that word 100 times. You're inconsistent. You're basically like, "I'll come see you tonight. Something came up. I'll make it up to you tomorrow. Something came up." You're all over the place, right? Relationship red flags that come over time. So controlling behavior. Maybe it's, "Hey, I don't want you to hang out with that person," or, "Hey, that group of friends sucks."
The Jonah Hill. Do you remember that Jonah Hill? Jonah Hill had that leaked voicemail. Yeah.
Yeah. Did he recover from that?
He was like right? He was dating an Instagram model.
Yeah, basically he was like,
and didn't want her to post things on Instagram.
He was like,
right, a surf model.
He's like, "You're too sexy
Surfer.
for me."
He was like, "No more bathing suits.
Yeah. You make me insecure. He should have found body solutions, and maybe he would have been more secure with how sexy he was.
I think he's found it and lost it a lot over the years, right? Like a fellow kind of.
I think he lost a bunch of weight now, though, right?
Yeah. Well, like us fat guys, we go up and down. Yeah.
I guess you know what? He wasn't comfortable with how funny he was.
Not Bobby Vito, but
not Bobby Vito.
That's true. Yeah.
But like poor communication, jealousy, anger issues, right? These are things that come over time. But then there's major red flags, right? So abuse, manipulation, threats, and intimidation, stalking. I guess that would be a huge red flag.
That's a bad one.
But here's a game, Tom.
Yep.
I'd like to call, what color flag is it?
Ooh, okay.
So these are things that women have actually said to me on dates. And before we do this, I'll preface with these are things that actually have happened. I'm not actually actively dating anybody. I don't have time to date anybody, nor do I want anything serious right now. But we'll put them in categories of green, yellow, or check please / separate checks.
Ooh, okay. Got it. Yeah.
So these could be different things to different people, and I have my own different reasons. So let's start with this one. You ready?
Okay. Yeah.
I love to travel.
Ooh. So yeah, I think that as a neutral party, that seems like kind of like a yellow. Depends, right?
That's very yellow for me.
Yeah.
For me, it was okay. I have kids.
Yeah.
I can't travel all the time.
Yeah. So that's kind of a no for you, right? It's a check please almost for
you.
Yeah.
So that's actually a good call. So it's a check please yellow. It's mainly because like I love that for you.
Yeah.
I actually don't love to travel in general.
Right.
But the other part is that means you have disposable income.
Right.
Obviously, in my situation, I do not have a lot of disposable income for many reasons.
Yeah.
But I can't keep up with that lifestyle. And I don't want to get to a situation where you're like, oh, I bought you this trip, we got to go, or even why are we traveling, whatever, I'm out.
Yeah, but there's a cohort of divorced people, right, who are in the dating pool where that would be like bright green, right? Especially like if your kids are older.
Of course.
That kind of thing.
Some people might really like it.
Or you have no kids. Yeah.
Okay, ready for this one?
Yep.
This is a real one, too. I am divorced because I cheated on my spouse.
Ooh. Well, yeah, I think that's a yellow, right? It's like depends on who you are, depends on what you're looking for, right?
Yep.
People make mistakes.
I call that one red as fuck.
Okay.
But that was red, and that was separate checks, please.
Yeah.
And the reason that was separate for me was obviously where I am right now. I think the last thing that I need is any sort of
question,
like,
right? Yeah.
Hey, I romanticize about a lot of different things, and
Yep.
it's like, oh well, hey, this person was engaged before they were with me, and now now they found me, and everything's perfect, and
Yeah.
we're gonna be happy forever. And I would
Yeah,
look
yeah.
back, and I'm like, man, I was a fucking idiot. So if I look at that situation, I'm like, well, they were with the wrong person, and I was the right person.
Yeah,
and then 10 years, I'm like, can you believe they cheated on me? Everyone's gonna be like, hey, stop being a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
that's what I don't want. So I'm gonna call that one red.
That works.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
I prefer cats to dogs.
So I'm gonna go yellow on this. I don't like cats, and I have personal issues with cats. Cats, I have cats and dogs.
I know you do.
I have too many cats and too many dogs, and the cats are like my nemesis in the house because they're always scratching things, and they go. But again, that's a personal thing, so I don't really like cats. But it's considered problematic for guys to be super anti-cats because there's like an anthropomorphic extrapolation that cats are considered more feminine and dogs are considered more masculine, right? As a species,
Okay.
right? So there's some like weird, like, you're transferring like, some misogyny
toxic
onto the cats.
masculinity.
Yeah. Toxic masculinity. So
I feel like I kind of have a feminine dog.
very much so. Awesome dog, but very feminine. Yes. So I'll go yellow. I think it's like, it depends. It depends on the cat, depends on the dog, depends on the person.
I'm gonna go check please on the cats.
Okay.
And the reason I would say so, a lot of people say this, and
Yeah.
and I know it's a lie.
Yeah.
But it'll be like, I'm allergic to cats.
Yeah.
So I can be in a room with a cat. If
Yeah.
I walk in the room with a cat, we're not gonna have a problem.
Right.
If I touch my eyes, it's game over.
I have similar issues.
And some people would be like,
specifically.
just don't touch your eyes.
Yeah.
It's not that easy because if I stay over someone's house as a cat, I'm eventually going to touch something in my eyes that
Yeah.
the cat fucking rubbed its ass on.
Yeah.
And then that fucking ass cat is all over my face.
Yep. You don't want,
I can't do it.
and it's,
The other
allergies suck. So
The other thing about cats,
really ruin your day.
I have some rules. Even when I was online, when I was dating online, if I saw that you like cats, I didn't care who you were.
Yeah.
I'm swiping I'm giving you the left. I'm giving you out.
Yeah.
I want you gone. I had a couple more rules we won't get into in this pod.
Okay.
But cats was one.
That's going to be a fun. The rules pod is
The rules pod will be good, but cats
deal
was
breakers.
I can't deal with cats. I don't trust them. I don't like them.
Deal breaker. You're
I'm
no
out.
on cats. Okay.
I'm out.
Wow.
I'm out on cats.
It's aggressive.
Okay. This one was a fun one. I really like rom-coms. I used to love Tyler Perry. And no, this was not my dad.
That's
because my dad fucking. By the way, shout out to my dad who's recovering from surgery right now on his large penis.
Yes,
my dad is recovering.
Shout out
to his large penis. Yeah. Well,
getting even larger. That's the surgery.
That was actually he's in porn, but he's recovering, and we heard from him last night. He's doing great. But he loves Tyler Perry actually. Big.
Okay.
I don't know if it's just Medea, but he didn't say this, but he does love Tyler Perry. So shout out to my dad. But so this woman said that she loves rom-coms, and then specifically she mentioned Tyler Perry. I didn't know he'd made rom-coms. I knew he made air quote, I'll say comedies.
Yeah.
But what do you think about that?
So as I get older, I'm trying to be less judgmental, right? So a younger version of myself would probably be more judgmental but I don't think I've seen a Tyler Perry movie.
Only this not a joke.
Yeah,
I've only seen bits and pieces because it's always on like TBS or TNT or something.
Yeah.
Like I've never. It's never been.
Which is an old admission in and of itself.
I know exactly.
The click around is like that's an old person thing.
Yeah, because now like I have all the apps, and then I use a friend's DirecTV to watch the Red Sox, and then he has one of mine.
Yeah.
And you can't even click around because you have to go in order of the channels, which is so fucking annoying. Because like most of the time, like I'll get him in like it'll be on like CNN.
Yeah.
And to go from CNN to Nesson, that is a commitment. I really have to want to watch that game.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I would say check please though, because you know, like I'm doing a lot of yellows, so I feel like I'm fence sitting a little bit. Like rom-coms, totally fine. Tyler Perry, like I think again, it doesn't make you a bad person.
No,
that's a check.
I think check. I'm gonna go yellow only because I feel like that sense of humor just would not jive with mine.
Yeah.
I love jokes about penises and vaginas, and I love talking shit.
Yeah.
I think that he likes to talk shit, but I think he likes to talk shit in a very different way.
Maybe.
And I just don't think that that's my...
we might have to do a Tyler Perry movie. Maybe we'll be fans. Maybe we'll be converted.
Maybe we'll. Let's get him on the pod.
Yeah.
Talk about being more tolerant, Tom. This happened, and I live in a halfway house.
Okay. I'm a yellow for that. I mean, it depends on the person. Yeah.
So
again,
this was yellow.
Yeah.
Leaning towards check, please, but only because I have kids.
Yeah.
So it's more of like, if I get to know this person and I was like, I trust that you're actually getting, because being in the halfway house means you want to get your shit together.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah.
So that's actually not a deal breaker.
Yep.
But that means I kind of have to keep an eye on you because I have people in my life who are more important than you.
Yeah. And it's like, it may not be the right point for that relationship, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like I have to prioritize other people ahead of you. So I have to make sure that you're going to keep your word. So totally. It's yellow for me.
Yep.
Okay. I'm still married.
Yeah. So this is one, we were looking for stories too. And we see when you go on the Reddit, which is kind of a cesspool in and of itself, but somebody was complaining that all the dating apps, right? When you meet somebody, they're all married. Everybody's married, right? This is a divorced person looking for somebody to date. So I think this is a yellow. Depends, right? If you're like, ostensibly happily married, quote unquote, in what the other person thinks is a monogamous relationship, that's a check, please, or separate checks, I guess, right? Separate checks was the lowest. But if it's a unraveling, right? These separations take a long time, particularly given the situation that people are, there's tax implications, there's property, right? Like I think if you're divorced and maybe not even officially divorced, right? You might be separated too. You might still be married. Then that's probably a yellow, right?
Yeah, I think it's yellow. Most people you meet here, from my experience, you're in your 40s or late 30s, and everybody has baggage. And if they don't have baggage, that means that they have the worst kind of baggage, which is the baggage they don't know they have yet.
Yeah.
So saying that they're married is actually better than finding out later that they're still married and have no intention of being divorced.
Yeah.
Divorces take fucking forever.
Yeah.
So that's actually par for the course. Not a big deal. It's green. It's yellow. It's fine.
Yeah.
My favorite television show is Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, that's a check, please. I don't want to watch that show.
Check. Fuck. Hey, guess what, Tom? Separate checks. Please.
That's probably like I don't need to be. I'm not at a CBS phase yet.
I could not. I want to kiss you square on the lips.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even make you shave that beard. I want to kiss you on the lips. I feel like if you're watching CBS shows, that's as bad as Cats to me.
It's just, again, it's not. It doesn't make you a bad person, but that's a checklist.
Here's one that happened. There's a story behind this one. Somebody said to me, "I can tell you are very special."
Ooh.
You might not know the story.
I do know the story. I remember the story. I'll say that's a yellow. In the specific case of the actual story itself, that's a separate checks. But generally, somebody saying that at the appropriate phase in a relationship, for instance, that would be a yellow. That would be a green, maybe, right? Could be a green.
Later, you're actually right. Later in the relationship, that's actually a great green. First date, that is a separate checks. That the real
first date. This was said to you, right?
Yeah, first date.
Yeah.
I was very nervous.
Okay.
And I got up to pretend to use the bathroom.
Okay.
I told the waitress I needed to leave, and I explained what happened.
Yeah.
And she said, "You need to leave immediately." And she rang it. She gave me back the check, and then I waited for the girl to go to the bathroom. And the waitress came back, and she literally looked at me. She was like, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "She's going to the bathroom. I have to wait." She's like, "No, you have to leave immediately."
Yeah.
And I said, I can't do it. And I was like very polite, and she's like. She's like, I'm like, explain to her why I could leave. And she's just like shaking her head at me like, no.
Why are you even here?
She's like, you have to leave. And I said, I can't. She's like, just go. I said, can you tell her I had to leave? And she's like, yes. And I ran out of that restaurant like an idiot. I ran across the restaurant and then outside to the right, holding my belt.
That's maybe the worst part of the story.
I know, it's super embarrassing. So I'm holding my pants up with my belt, and I'm wearing a white and black satin jacket that says Heartbreak Kid on the back. And I have my hair. I'm like,
That's an incredible detail.
I'm basically dressed like Date Mike from The Office. Like I'm wearing that jacket. I have my hair like in a mohawk. I feel like I'm like cock of the walk, right?
Wow, yeah.
But this waitress is obviously observing this whole situation.
Well, you did. I just to interrupt. The outfit worked because she found you to be very special.
Oh yeah, it
maybe worked too well.
It worked. I
maybe have to wait on that jacket for like 5 or 6 dates so that you don't get like.
I love that jacket. I'm afraid to wear it in that area ever again in case that woman is waiting for me. But that you're very special.
Well, I would say, and also if that were a rom-com, right? Maybe a Tyler Perry movie. Again, I haven't seen them, so I don't know how they go. But if that were a rom-com, you would end up with the waitress.
True.
Right?
She was a little bit older.
Oh, okay.
But I do want to go back. She probably doesn't remember.
Belichick. What was that a problem? Yeah.
No, you know what? That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Love is blind.
So is EK.
Love is
EK
blind.
is a little bit older, I think.
You know what? Maybe that was her name.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a couple more. I don't work. I get alimony.
Yeah, I mean that's yellow. Depends, right?
Get the fuck out of here. I was lucky. I didn't walk out when I heard that. That opened up so many wounds for me.
Okay, well,
that
that's
hurt.
very personal.
That one hurt bad.
There's a lot of people who don't work, who are perfectly good people. They could volunteer. They are stay-at-home parents. They have different functions that they serve. So there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, I would say.
You were a good friend.
Yep.
Hey, by the way, people out there, Tom's a really good friend because I was like, okay, that one hurt. I've never really been single. Basically, the context of this was doesn't jump from relationship to relationships, but like goes from long term to long term to long term.
Yeah, again, I think maybe that's yellow. Like that might be if I were divorced and I were dating, that might be a check, please. Not because that's like necessarily anything wrong with that, but it's just like I'm kind of a person who needs like a little bit of space and time alone and stuff. And if you're divorced and trying to date and trying to take care of your kids and trying to work, and this person is kind of a serial monogamous, they may want more time more quickly than you're willing to do. So I don't know, but that seems like a yellow to me. I don't know, broadly.
It's yellow. I think I kind of interpret it more of like, for me, I'm looking for like an investment, I suppose. Not like a financial investment by any means. Not like the gold we spoke about in episode 1, but more of like something long-term where I don't want to be worried about like the first fight we're in. They're like, oh, it's over. And then they're like back on the apps and they're like dating someone else.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to deal with that shit. So I guess it was yellow, but I never really get far enough where I'm so closed off right now that I'm more of like anything yellow is almost like check please to me at this point where I don't know. So I don't even know why yellow is not a bigger deal, but either way, it was yellow. We'll call it yellow. Yeah. I eat my dessert before my entree if I eat an entree at all.
Ooh. Seems like that's like a green to me.
It was kind of funny. I actually was like, are you just trying to leave?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Like, are you ordering dessert now so you can get dessert and then you don't have to be here?
Yeah. And then you give the option to get out of there.
Yeah, because like it's almost like having the thing like, and I haven't done this or I haven't seen anyone do this in a while, but it used to be like you'd go on a date and they'd be like, oh, just so you know, I made plans with my friend at 8:00.
Yeah.
And then you'd be getting closer to 8, and if the date was going well, you'd notice that suddenly that plan didn't really matter.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. It's like and this doesn't really happen anymore either, I guess. But like the sitcom thing was like, oh, call me at this time, and
Exactly.
I'll, you know what I mean?
If it's going poorly, I'll pick.
Yeah, and if not, I'll whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway.
This one I loved actually.
Okay.
So I don't mind going to movies or concerts alone.
Ooh, I like that. That's a green.
Loved it. Green.
Yeah, I think that's a
okay.
good sign
Yeah.
because it's like you're not overly worried about what other people think.
Yep.
Right. I used to love. I mean, again, I have kids, so I don't have time anymore. But I used to love going to movies alone.
I thought hearing that was like, oh, you enjoy personal time. And
Yeah,
it's not.
yeah.
Oh, if we don't do this together, it didn't happen, and it doesn't mean that you don't care. I was like, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Concerts alone. The only reason I haven't been to a concert alone recently, but the only reason I guess the only reason for that is like concerts are kind of far away. Where it's like,
Hot take. I don't like concerts.
oh, well, there you go.
I'd rather just listen to the music. I don't like concerts. You go, you're standing there. I'm not enough of a music person with most bands to know like all their stuff.
Yeah.
The people you're going with know more than me. I'm not a concert.
But I love movies alone.
Love movies.
Love movies alone. I'll sit alone. Movies alone all the time. We'll do one more. This one could go a bunch of different ways, but insist on splitting the bill. This one is interesting because it could mean they have no interest in seeing you ever again. So they're insisting on splitting the bill.
That's done. That's split the check for you, right?
Exactly. So it's like, hey, I'm going to split this because I feel bad. I'm never going to see you, or they're just so independent that they're like, no, this is how it is.
I think insist is maybe a yellow. Offer, right? Or like try to is probably a green to me. Like I think that's pretty reasonable. I think insist is like maybe a little strange if you're just like, no, I got it. Especially like, first date, first couple dates. Over time, I don't really, I think that's fine.
Yeah, I kind of I'll call this green yellow because most of the time it's like somebody I was with called the apps the Hunger Games, and I was like, I've only seen the movie once, but I was like, it's pretty accurate. It's like it's war of attrition, right? Some of these you almost they work out, they don't work out. Some of them you don't remember who you swiped on or who swiped on you and who you rejected or who you accepted after a while. So the fact that they insisted on paying the bill and if they did want to see you again or they didn't, after a month or 2 months, like you kind of forget all about it.
Yeah, you don't maybe want to die on that hill. Yeah, I think you probably as a guy our age, you probably still want to be trying to pay the bill, but I don't know. Yeah.
I think
I wonder if the next generation even cares about that. It might just be like, everybody Venmos everybody, nobody cares. I don't know.
I pray that for our next generation that there's no more like men pay for everything.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you something, next generation, if you start there, you never fucking get off it. That is a thing that will happen forever. They will find a way for you to pay for your own funeral. I don't know how.
We need a drop that's like, like needs female perspective drop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like an alarm that's like, hey, this is like two white guys on a podcast, Because that's like, I think we need a female point of view on that one. Yeah.
Agree to disagree. No, I'm kidding. Maybe. Yeah, we do. We do. All right. So we got one more segment here. So this one comes from, we should actually say this. So we're not going to, because it was a short week, we didn't have time to edit the Nordic Bozo of the Week.
Right.
But we do have a super fan couple.
Okay.
Right. So we have Toronto Rob and his wife, the Greek.
Okay.
Okay. So Toronto Rob, huge fan of the show.
Yeah.
Right. He loves Toronto. We love Toronto. We love Canada.
Canada's great.
In fact, people are going to think we're making fun of it. I love Canada.
Yeah, me too.
I love everything about Canada. I Montreal, Quebec City.
Yep. You went to Toronto for your bachelor
party. You lost your passport.
I lost my passport.
And I'm going to put in third air quotes of the show. Lost his passport in Skydome at the time. Was it Rogers Center, maybe?
Yeah, the baseball game.
Had to stay alone in Toronto by himself. And
had to go to like the consulate. It was very official. It was like a fairly nerve wracking.
But Toronto Rob loves the show. The Greek, his wife, was adamantly against it at first. But let me tell you something, everybody. The Greek texted me off the chain
Wow.
She's telling me things we could improve on. She's writing on the Instagram.
The Greek should be the ombudsman. The Greek would be my selection for the female perspective, like ombudsman.
Yeah,
She'd be a great ombudsman.
We did invite the Greek on, right?
Yeah.
But she's very busy.
That's fine.
She's got a lot of opinions.
Doesn't want to associate with the
Well,
podcast.
the Greek has a lot of opinions, and she's busy telling people those opinions,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
she can't be here all the time telling us her opinion because she's got a lot of opinions to share.
Okay.
So she's become our number one super fan. In fact, Toronto Rob told me that he thought that I was in the kitchen the other day, but it was her listening to the podcast.
Wow, that's exciting.
And
I was surprised when people listen to the podcast. That's great.
Yeah, it's great. I actually was very surprised. I think we have 180 subscribers right now,
crazy.
which is
That's a
crazy.
lot of
I was
subscribers.
very, very surprised by that. But we got a text message from her. We got a text message from her the other day, and I won't do her accent. I want to get her on the pod because I love her accent so much. But she sent a text message this weekend. It said, "What's wrong with clapping on planes?" So guess what we found out, Tom? The Greek claps on planes.
Claps on planes.
So
yeah.
I feel like that's pretty much that makes sense, right?
I'm not for clapping on planes, but to each their own. Again, right? Like that's a yellow, I guess. Like whatever. You want to clap on a plane.
Yep. So we're going to get the Greek on, but in the meantime, Toronto Rob wanted to get involved in the show, and he had a hot take. He had a hot take about an expression that he heard.
Okay.
It's a little bit older.
Okay.
And he hates this expression, and he wanted our take on this expression. So we're just going to play this. We're going to play this through, and let's hear what Toronto Rob has to say.
Oh, hey there, this is Toronto Rob, eh? My friend Dirty Bill sent me a podcast. It's about relationships, right? Oh, shit, I just spilt my Molson everywhere, eh? Yeah, that's not good. Anyway, I heard you gave relationship advice. My friends think I'm crazy because I broke up with this snack, as she told me that I'm her ride or die. They gave me the queasies for sure. Absolutely gave me the heebie-jeebies. Pet names like Babe I'll accept, but riding and dieting, what the hell is she talking about, eh? She was a hoser anyway. All right, I gotta head over to Timmy's, eh? Let me know your thoughts. Thanks.
All right, Tom. A lot to unpack there. I think, so just so everyone knows, I think Timmy's is Tim Hortons.
Okay.
I think the Greek might have said ride or die to him. I think
You think so? Well, can we address the elephant in the room first?
Go ahead.
Very offensive accent.
very
From Toronto Rob.
Very.
Who I question whether he's from Toronto or has even been to Toronto, first of all.
He's been to Toronto with us.
That's true. Yeah, that's fair.
I love it though. The reason
I'll say our soon-to-be 51st state would not appreciate that accent, I don't think.
I pray that doesn't happen, mainly because I love Canada so fucking much that if they become the United States,
You don't want them to be annexed?
no, we will ruin the fuck out of them so quickly.
I feel like you should have at least offered them a couple, not to get political, but right? Can they have a couple states? Like they have to be one state?
Is that what it was?
It's a big landmass. Well, he keeps saying 51st state.
That's a dickhead move.
Well, but anyway, yeah. So sorry. So yeah. So we're unpacking Toronto Rob's.
So Toronto Rob. So he doesn't like the expression
Ride or die.
Ride or die.
Yeah, I don't like that either. I don't. So that's in a basket of expressions that I don't like, and there's nothing I would rather do than, disagree with Toronto Rob. But I actually agree with him on this. So ride or die, bros over hose.
Yeah.
I feel like that's of the kinds, and keeping it 100. Right.
Keeping it 100 is
timeframes.
pretty recent.
That one's more recent? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But the other two probably same time. To me, it's like a basket of things. So ride or die, I think that's people use that a lot of times to justify bad behavior. It's like, oh, you're not a ride or die. You should be a ride or die. And it's like, well, I'm not a ride or die with your nonsense, right?
Sure. Sure.
And also, I think probably to Toronto Rob's point, there's not a lot of riding or dying, right? In these relationships.
What's that whole joke
ride or
about
dies.
I'll take a bullet for you, but
Yeah.
would you?
No, probably not.
How many opportunities would you have to take a
Exactly.
bullet?
Yeah, that's not coming up. And if it is, you're probably scattering.
Yeah, it's the exaggeration. I agree. I haven't heard it too much recently. I feel like people might use it in more of the ironic sense.
Yes,
she's
that's
my
probably
ride or
true.
die.
Yeah.
What was used in his voicemail, which is fantastic, is the insult. He's a hoser.
Hoser's a good one.
Hoser's
a good one.
fantastic.
Good Timmy Hortons or Molson.
Remember going up there to Montreal or Toronto 25 years ago and getting Molson Triple X or something like that?
Yeah.
Toronto Rob brought me back. One thing I will say is the Greek is going to hear this, and she's not going to be pleased that Toronto Rob was leaving voicemails for Divorced with Friends podcast.
that, yeah.
I feel like as much as she might want him to be ride or die, this is her podcast right now.
Is he right? Yeah, maybe that's why he doesn't like it, because he's not a ride or die. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that's gonna be a thing. So we will be back in a couple weeks. I think now that we've course corrected from Mother's Day and we're gonna drop on Memorial Day, we'll be back in 2 weeks, and we'll get back on our every 2 week schedule, and then maybe we'll try to figure out something weekly if we can during the summer. But we're going to do our obligatory thank you. So again, thank you to Dean Corsi for the absolute fire theme that we have. You can find him at Dean Corsi Music. That is Instagram.com/Dean Corsi Music. You can email Tom and I at divorcedwithfriends@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram at divorcedwithfriends, and you can like, subscribe, and rate us on all of your favorite podcast. What would you call those, Tom? These podcast listening apps? Is that what these are?
Yeah, apps. Any place that you find podcasts.
Anywhere that you find those podcasts that you listen to, like, subscribe. Again, one thing we will say is give us those 5 stars. I don't care if you didn't mean it. Just give me those 5 fucking stars.
Yeah.
But please mean it. No, I'm just kidding. But thanks again from Divorced with Friends. We'll catch you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you so much for coming around.
We love you all.
We love you all. See you soon.